This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing. Well, it's been on a bit of a break, but it is back. It is the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. As we say, welcome back and welcome to Brazelton, USA. Welcome to Road Atlanta. This track playing host then to the first round of the rescheduled 2K World Cup. Track conditions there up on your screen. 22 degrees Celsius in the air, 33 degrees Celsius is your track temperature. Wind speeds currently hovering around 8 kilometers an hour. Qualifying is underway. That means we get the chance to see drivers on track here. And let's go on board, shall we, with the warming up tyres mode of Philippe Leber in the number 2 car. Drivers have a solo 1 lap to do as fast as they can here around this racetrack. And well, warming the tyres up is important. It's also going to be a couple of heart-stopping moments as we see the times appear on the left-hand side of your screen in about 90 seconds from now. We're going to be racing for a total of 30 laps here today in this round of the 2K World Cup. So Philippe Leber is just starting onto a lap. We've got Anthony Catt getting onto a lap as well. Paul Malokas just crossing the start-finish line to start himself on a lap around this racetrack. And let's go back though. On board, a big drift there by Philippe Leber. Leber even through turn number 2 as he works himself then down through the S's. First left hand, and then you can start putting that throttle down through turn number 4. Turn number 5 is so deceptive, giving yourself the opportunity to open up the corner, but you don't want to run too wide. It will invalidate your lap. As it's solo car qualifying, of course, that means that we'll basically get an indication of qualifying times when they all head themselves past the start-finish line in a few moments' time. But for the most part, we've got ourselves drivers now on a lap. Here is the driver of Brian Duell working himself on the exit of turn number 5 down towards that double apex right-hander at turn number 6. And you see the first of the lap times are starting to come through. Let's go and turn our attention back, shall we, to Philippe Leber as he heads himself in towards that tricky chicane down towards the end of the lap. Turn number 10, the left-hander, then up through the right. Greg Zeitz currently provisional pole position. Then you got yourself Cruz in second place, Edwards in third, Arienda de Freitas in fourth, and Amon in 5th place. As I say that, it keeps on changing. Philippe Leber only 6th place then in qualifying. Sahim Martinez moved himself up into the 4th position a moment ago. Kane Halliburton, it's still on track. Let's go on board of him, shall we, for a quick moment. Halliburton past the start-finish line. And he's going to move himself into the 11th position here. Kurt Crum, running Griffin have yet to complete laps. We're actually looking on board with the driver of Kurt Krum right now. He should get past the start-finish line in time. I say that, but only just as he works himself down the hill towards the start-finish line. He will make it with literally 2 seconds to spare. Kurt Krum does get his qualifying lap in, moves into 19th, but that is qualifying over. Let's run yourself through your starting grid here in the 2K World Cup. And it is Greg Zietz who's got himself pole position, 135.818. Alongside him on that front row of the grid will be Martin Cruz, and row 2, Simon Edwards and Sasha Gall, who got himself that lap late on in our qualifying here today. That moves Fahim Martinez down into 5th place, Tran into 6th place, Arian de Freitas in 7th, Felipe Burt in 8th. 9th place will go to Andrea Amon. Brian Duell rounds out your top 10. A remainder of those qualifying times coming up on your screen right now. Well, there's your top 25 drivers cycling themselves through. Number of drivers in no time. 31 drivers taking the start for this race here today at Road Atlanta. It's going to be very interesting out front. We're going to have a look there. That's towards the rear of the field. We want to have ourselves a little bit look further forward, as live timing and scoring will be available once the race starts. Just visit racespot.tv/timing for that one. But as I said earlier on, 30 laps is going to be our race here today, and as ever, these drivers will have to make a pit stop along the way as well. So the drivers, they're all getting themselves set ready for 30 laps worth of racing. We can go, you can be with us here on 2K World Cup, just waiting for the last of those drivers then to get themselves onto the starting grid. Then we can put ourselves under the command of starters' orders. And there we are, green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2K World Cup here at Road Atlanta. Drivers all starting themselves down through towards turn number 1 out front. We got ourselves Greg Zietz with the lead as they work now in towards that S for the first time. Let's see, are they all going to manage to make it safe? No! We got issues at the front of your field there. 2, 3, 4, 5 cars all involved in issues, and well, that's a big moment. That's involved a number of drivers here at the start of this one. Martin Cruz, Andrea Amon is out of the event early, so a number of drivers involved down at turn number 2. That one is going to require a second look, and Martin Cruz was involved there, and we can see all the banging and beating down. It's a 201 car of Cruz. That was the first of those involved in the incident. Let's get ourselves one more look as we go on board of him in that 201 car. You see, just getting hit by behind. I believe that was by the number 31 car of Sasha Gall. Gall, let's have a look on board of him. Actually, oh yeah, it was the two coming together. Sasha Gall, the number 31 car, was able to benefit from that, of course, but now we've got ourselves a 2-car breakaway as a consequence, as lap number 1 is going to be completed, and we've got more issues. Justin Tipton's off, and that's down at the chicane. So Justin Tipton's gone off. He's going to have to try and find a way of rejoining. The entire field is swarming past him, and as a consequence of that, Justin Tipton's had to take that car back to pit road to get a tow. Here's the replay in towards that chicane, and does he get hit by the number 88 car? He does hit number 88, just getting a little bit loose for the center of the corner. Justin Tipton did try to find a way of getting that car back onto track, but he was just losing so much time. He decided eventually that he was going to have to take the tow back towards pit road. So a number of incidents and retirees in that first lap. Kurt Krum has been on pit road. Harrison Bingham, Anthony Catt, Kane Halliburton, Brian Duell, Martin Cruz, Andrea Amon, and Justin Tipton all on lap number 1. But let's go on board as things start to settle down a little bit. This is third place driver Arjen de Freitas. He's had a great start to this motor race, and as a consequence now runs in that third position as they work towards the chicane once again. He's got himself a good start, but we've got a battle going on. Change for your race lead. Actually, it's a change to second place as Greg Seitz and Felipe Burr are scrapping at it. And there is Greg Seitz just getting himself past Felipe Burr. Or as our timing screens, it's playing havoc with us once again. It is indeed. It's Sasha Gall, though, who is leading the way here. Will complete lap number 2 with the race lead. He's got the advantage. The 2-car breakaway over Greg Seitz as they come down towards turn 1 once again. Goal from Seitz is as it stands. Then Felipe Burr, Arjen de Freitas, and a big gap of 4 seconds then to 5th place and Andrew Pecoria. This field is really spread out because of the issues we had on lap number 1 here. As we go on board with Carl Dronke in the number 10 car, working through the S's right now. Through turn number 5, Carl Dronke will come behind. You've got close battles going on between Rob Adams, Mike McCormick and Paul Malocas as they are thinking about going side by side. If you have a look from up above, shall we, in towards turn number 5 and 6, sorry, 7 even now, and Mike McCormick was battling it out with Paul Malocas. They settled it down, but they're all going to start going again. But Hans Hoyer's just had an issue. That's going to push him down into 16th place. And you can see he's really slow there on the inside line. We're on board now with Neil Kent, but we've got issues going on all over the place. Felipe Burr is battling out with Arjen de Freitas once again. Mehdi Al-Fati battling a Paul Malocas for 10th place on track, but we should probably stay on board for a moment with Felipe Burr. They head themselves out of the final corner towards the start-finish line. It is a lap-based race here, and we've just completed 3 laps of 30, and so far it is Greg Seitz leading the way, but Felipe Burr has got the fastest lap right now in this event. It's going to take a lot, though, for de Freitas and Felipe Burr to move up into these 1-2 front positions behind Edwin Valerino. We're on board of him. He's just lost some positions in the number 11 car, running in the 12th position, and so slow it down for the right-hander. Now down into those sweeping S's once again, and Edwin Valerino losing position to Rob Adams then early on in this event. You can see the train snaking ahead of them. Carl Dronke has got a little bit of pressure he's putting onto Fahim Atinides as they come down into turn number 7 again. Carl Dronke representing Club New Jersey, Fahim Atinides representing Club UK and Ireland. Of course, this race is perfectly placed to be a Sunday night race for those in the UK and Europe, the Sunday afternoon race in America. But side by side out front then, Sasha Gall, Greg Seitz going at it side by side into the chicane. And Sasha Gall has got that race lead away. He did it on the exit of turn 7 and has been able to pull out a tiny bit of a gap. But P number 1 and P number 2 are going to have to think about how hard they want to push, because there are the 2 hard chargers of Felipe Burr and Arjen de Freitas, who are not too far behind. And of course, if they get back into it, it'll be a 4-horse battle. Talking about battles, look at this one. We've got 6 drivers in the slot as they head themselves through the final corner. That's Edwin Valerino, Neil Kemp, Roman Kedra, Simon Edwards, Mehdi Al-Fati, all scrapping for the same piece of real estate in towards turn 1. Going too wide, we've got Simon Edwards, who we often see on Monday night skippies. We've got a car going off, actually. Was that Stephen Stoyles? I believe it might well have been in the number 77 car through turn number 1. He had a big old slide And let's try and get our replay and see whether it was indeed him. I saw someone just going very wide. Actually, no, it wasn't Styles. It was Mehdi Al-Fati in the number 26 machine there. Somehow, though, able to keep it going, but lost quite a bit of time as a consequence. Indeed, there is Fati, who ends up taking a little bit of an off-road drifting lesson in towards turn number 1. You notice after he gets loose, he's able to just about avoid the tyre barriers, but loses a lot of time as he goes dirt tracking. Greg Zeet, Sasha Doyle, they continue to scrap it out for first place. They head themselves up the crest of the hill once again, on board with Sasha Gall as they work through towards turn number 1 again. Iron de Freighter goes purple, fastest lap of the day so far. Iron de Freighter running in 3rd place. We talked about the battles that will be going on, P1 and 2, P3 and 4, and how they had to think about what they can do. Steven Styles coming on towards pit road, so even though it wasn't him who lost out at turn number 1 that last time by, you can see some damage to that number 77, almost camouflage machine car. Comes in to make a service a little bit further ahead on track. Hans Hoyer's been battling it out with Mehdi Al-Fati through turn number 1, and they slow it down into turn 2 and 3 again. We're on board with Hans Hoyer as they begin to work themselves down through the hill. There's a wonderful look at the sweeps and the turns of these drivers. A little bit of the back end stepping out with Steven Styles and through turn number 5, but they're all able to get away with it. Further ahead though, we've got Mike McCormick and Edwin Valerino scrapping for position. So let's go on board, shall we, with Edwin Valerino. He's going to get a good tow here. This will be representative. Of course, the tow has changed pretty dramatically in the time we've been away on Sunday Night Skippies, but we're on board with Edwin Valerino, and that one was made to almost look easy as they work towards the chicane down at the end of the lap. Turn number 10 here on this 12-corner racetrack. Up over the crest they will come. Edwin Valerino moves himself into the top 10, but further ahead, let's go back with Iron de Freighter. De Freighter has got the fastest lap of the day so far. Greg Zeet still leading the way, but De Freighter was putting the pressure on and working low to an extent with Philippe Leber. Let's have a look at the lap time differences between Sasha Gall and Philippe Leber over the last couple of laps. You notice that 7 tenths of a second has been taken out from P2 to P number 3. So Philippe Leber and Iron de Freighter have been closing up a little bit, but that last time by, they lost 2 tenths of a second in the first 2 sectors of the racetrack. Behind, Carl Dronke, Fahim Atinides, they're still scrapping it out, but the gap between the two of them has calmed down to about 4 tenths of a second right now. Last time by, Carl Dronke was remotely faster, but nothing entirely to write home about. Get a further look back on this straightaway. And there's Tran Tran, Simon Edwards. And actually Tran Tran was going to look down to the inside of Neil Kemp in towards that chicane. And Tran Tran will move up into 12th position. Simon Edwards is not going to follow him through. Point I was trying to make earlier is, of course, you do see Simon Edwards on Monday Night Skippies here on RaceSpot TV. And of course, he came home second in the most recent Monday Night Skippies Championship into Port of the Calm Zone, running P number 14 here on the 2K World Cup. But he is a driver who's got quite a lot of experience. A lot of these drivers do have experience, but of course a few of them were taking a bit of a break from running in Skip Barber Formula 2000s whilst they were getting themselves ready for this renewed season. Mike McCormick all over the curves through turn number 3 and down through the S's. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths of a second as things starting to settle down here gives us the opportunity to take a breath and go back to this battle for 4th place on track. That is between Orion de Freitas and Felipe Burr. Burr up to 3rd place for the time being. We try and circle that camera back a little bit. And Mike McCormick versus Edwin Valerino. That's the front of a train here, or 2 drivers. Try and Neil Kemp, Simon Edwards, who talked about that on the last time by. Let's go on board with Mike McCormick in towards the chicane. McCormick in that number 68 car, running in at the 11th position as they work themselves up the hill, as Mehdi Al-Fati is falling down on our timing screens once again. So there are some drivers who have been struggling, and here's a look at your top 8 as we get close to 1/3 race distance here at Road Atlanta. It is Greg Zeet leading the way by about 0.3 of a second over Sasha Gall. Felipe Burr runs in 3rd place, but is 2 seconds back from the race leader, 1.7 back from 2nd place. Orion de Freitas is right there with Felipe Burr, Andrew Picorio in the 5th place, Rahim Atinides in 6th, Carl Dronke in 7th, and Paul Malokas will round out your top 8 right now. As here's a look at the movers and shakers in this event so far, and what you can see is that Burr's up 5 places, Andrew Picorio up 9, but Dronke is up the biggest inside your top 10, up 18 places. And that was, in the most part, due to the calamities we had down at turn number 2 and 3 at the start of this motor race, which is why Carl Dronke has been able to capitalise so much. It's also the reason why this field is spread out just a little bit here. We go down through the field. Actually, no, we need to go back to Dronke. He's got Rahim Atinides just ahead of him. Let's ride on board for a couple of moments, shall we, with Carl Dronke. Through 1, they come again. 1/3 distance we scored complete this time by. The pit window is notoriously wide here at Road Atlanta. You can come in pretty much anywhere from lap 12 through to about lap number 20. Dronke not able to close up on the rear of Atinides through turns number 3, 4, or turn number 5. As behind Trancharan, Simon Edwards, looks like that Simon Edwards has got himself now up into 12th place on track as we go on board of Trancharan in the number 21 machine. Trancharan losing a position. He's got Neil Kemp just behind him as well. Pretty worth actually having a look through the people who have at least pitted in this event. I say pitted, they might have had to get themselves a new front wing or something similar. Brian Dewell is one of them in the number 88 car. Stephen Stoyles, Anthony Catt, Ronan Griffin, Harrison Bingham, Mehdi Al-Fati, Justin Tipton, Martin Cruz have all made a pit stop out of this event. Kane Halliburton, Andrea Amon, and I don't believe that Brian Lockwood actually took the flag here, as it's close out front between Greg Zeet and Sasha Goyle once again, and Zeet's very close there on towards pit road. This is a legitimate pit stop then. One of the early pitters, it's going to be Andrew Picorio in the number 53 car. Colin Van Ram will join him onto pit road. There's the pit stop timer, ticking over 14.9 seconds then for Andrew Picorio. Colin Van Ram is going to come out of pit road as well. 13.7 second pit stop there for Van Ram in the number 101 Club Benelux car. So a little bit faster coming off of pit road for him. So They're the early stoppers, or the start of the early stoppers. And Sasha Goyle, we're going to go on board of him. He's got himself Greg Zeet to the left-hand side. As you can see, no pit stop, of course, for your two race leaders. Sasha Goyle on the outside line. Can he make that move work over Greg Zeet? He can. However, what that's done is it's closed the gap up further from P2 to P3. It's now down to just 1.2 seconds. So as we get ourselves closer to a round of pit stops here in the 2K World Cup, we're in that situation where things could change dramatically. And well, here's a power move for Felipe Burr on pit road at the end of lap number 11. So he wants to try and do the undercut here, and he wants to do it on his own by the looks of it. Raheem Atanides and Carl Dronke also on towards pit road this time by. So there's Raheem Atanides then. Pit stop complete, 11.5 seconds for him, as he'll be out and away once again. And there's Raheem Atanides in the number 7 machine, and more drivers on pit road. Edwin Valerino, etc. on pit road as well. Atanides, a longish stop for him, and 15.7 seconds out and away, back onto track once again. Sasha Goyle then leads the way right now over Greg Zeet by a 1/10 of a second. That's not going to be the same though, because Greg Zeet, you can see the number 74 car on the outside line as they work towards the chicane down at 10 again. Greg Zeet has the advantage over Goyle. The freighter is only 1.2 seconds back from this slot. I'm wondering whether anyone's going to come in and counter off Felipe Burr. 1, 2, all of them are looking as though they're going to come in then round lap number 12 of this 30-lap event. So we could actually be looking at a couple of two-stop strategies here. So Sasha Goyle is then making a pit stop. We've got a couple of drivers all making pit stops at the same time. Greg Zeet, you can see him. He's got the green tinted wheels on that TT Racing car. Pit timer, show that for you. It's up to 9, 10, 11, 12 seconds. Sasha Goyle has gone out and away. 9.17 seconds stop them for Sasha Goyle. This might mean, as I say, that they're going to change up strategy in this event here today. Greg Zeet is out and away though, and all of your top 10 are now through, and they look as though they've done at least a pit stop in this event. And what it's done is it's changed the running order. Sasha Goyle leads from Felipe Burr, Greg Zeet in 3rd, Ari de Freitas in 4th, Andrew Picorio rounds out your top 5. And well, let's ride a couple of corners, shall we? On board with Sasha Goyle. Out the final corner, Sasha Goyle then leading the way by 3.4 seconds over Felipe Burr. Greg Zeet, as they say, rounds out your podium positions as it stands. Let's go down in your field a little bit. And just, of course, to let you know, live timing and scoring is available for this race. All you need to do is just visit racewell.tv/timing, and Anthony Katz back on to pit road. So this is not looking good for him unless he knows something that we don't. He did a 6.1 second pit stop and has come back on towards pit road again. So unless the fuel wasn't going in that car properly or something's happened, we need to see how long the pit stop is going to be for him this time. as he's in to make that service. Timing going up. It's going to be longer than the last top. We know that one at least now. Over 10 seconds. Going to hit 15 seconds right about now. 16.1 out and away. So yeah, I do believe that we're going to be in that situation where drivers going to be making 2 stops here today. One of them might be quite a bit shorter than the first, but it really is going to throw our strategy, predictions and calculations, shall we say, out the window a little bit. And of course, that early race issue that we had that saw the field get so spread out, that's going to make it even harder at points to keep track of things. But we're on board with Fahim Atinides. Andrew Picorio is just ahead of them as they work through in towards turn number 10. Once again, through the left-hander, through the right-hander, and up the hill towards the start-finish line. Atinides in the number 7 car, Andrew Picorio in the number 53 machine. That was a pit stop time for Fahim Atinides. He gets a good run out of the final corner. And is he going to get the move done in towards turn number 1? No, he's not. It did look close enough as though he was able, shall we say, even to have the opportunity of getting alongside had he have wanted to. But I just think he chose to stay behind. Maybe doing that whole thing of saving a little bit of fuel, a little bit. We're not quite sure, but there we are. Fahim Atinides in the number 7 car as we're just about halfway through this race, this time by the looks of things. Yep, 15 laps of the 30 stated distance will be scored complete in a moment's time. It's just keeping the eye down the field. We were showing Edwin Valerino and Tran earlier on. They are scrapping it out again on track. The gap is 4 tenths of a second, actually about half a second, as they work into turn 7 once again. So I am just having a look. Yeah, it is going to be 2 stops for all of these drivers to the end of this one as Edwin Valerino, Tran. Let's just have a look as they work themselves towards the chicane again. And Edwin Valerino is 3 tenths of a second behind Tran as they come in towards that section of the track again. Ahead, Conor Van Ram, Stephen Stoyles go on board with Conor Van Ram. He's actually done 10 laps right now on his stint compared to 5 laps from Stephen Stoyles. So you can probably get 2 more laps out of it and then be good to go to the end of the race on your next pit stop if you Conor Van Ram. But it is going to be a longer pit stop for him as in towards turn number 1, Van Ram will come again, and it's Stephen Stoyles in that camouflaged cow car. I can only elaborate it to be, which is in the 8th position currently on track. Andrew Picorio, Fahim Atinides, they are still scrapping it out. More action at least than the French Grand Prix earlier on today, am I right? 4 tenths of a second separating Fahim Atinides and Andrew Picorio as they come in towards turn 7 on track again. Andrew Picorio is in that number 53 car, Atinides in the 7. We talked about it earlier as they'll scream it down towards the chicane. Again, this is a good place to use our camera from above. Hopefully it's not going to be behind the trees for too long. It probably is actually, because we're going to miss all the action if we stick with that one. But we're going to see Picorio fend off Atinides, or will we? Here's going to be a better shot in towards the chicane now. And Atinides, yet still not able to do anything over Andrew Picorio as they continue. And Fahim Atinides remained in 6th place on track. There, though, is your race leader. It is Sasha Goyle in the number 31 car. And after the round of pit stops, he's been able to get the advantage out over Philippe Leber. And he's been pulling out, let's get this, half a second a lap over the last 3. So Sasha Goyle is really pulling away right now. The gap, which, don't forget, before Philippe Leber came on towards pit road, was as low as 1.2, is now up to 1.9 seconds on track. Let's ride again with Philippe Leber as he now transitions on the exit of turn 7 and works towards the start-finish line. Andrew Picorio, Atenides again. Sasha Goyle's going to come on towards pit road for the second time. We'll pick that one up in a second. Atenides, though, does get himself now ahead of Andrew Picorio as they will work themselves towards the stripe again. And Atenides up now into 5th place. We're going to show 4th in a moment's time because here comes Sasha Goyle onto the line for his second time here today. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen, just had a bit of a coughing fit there. Sorry. Adrian Hendy, John Morgan scrapping it out for 21st place on track right now. As we've seen, Felipe Burr is not yet come on towards pit road. He hasn't yet made the second pit stop that we've seen a couple of drivers make, most notably, of course, Sasha Goyle. Greg Zietz is 6 laps into a run. Andrew Picorio is 8 laps into a run. Fahim Atenides is 7 right now. And Paul Malukas is just behind. Closest battle we got on track, that is this one. Roman Kajka and Neil Kemp going at it for 12th place. As the gap between the two of them is just a third of a second. And here comes Le Burr then. Le Burr is now on towards pit road for the second time here today. As this is going to be really crucial. Where is Sasha Goyle? He's working himself up through the final corner right now. Le Burr still in his box. It's going to be a 14-second pit stop there for Felipe Le Burr. 1.6 seconds faster than what Sasha Goyle did earlier on. Here's Le Burr. He's ahead for the moment, but will he be ahead into the braking zone? The answer is going to be yes. Le Burr is going to be ahead of Sasha Goyle. And actually, it looks to be that Felipe Le Burr has just done some tremendous laps and will be 1.9 seconds ahead down the hill. Fantastic work there by Felipe Le Burr. We want to turn our attention though back to Fahim Atenides and Andrew Picorio as they've been going at it. Two drivers separated by a quarter of a second as they work towards the chicane once again. Andrew Picorio in the number 53 car. Fahim Atenides looking to the outside as it will be into the chicane. He's done 1 pit stop so far here today, has Atenides. He's been 8 laps onto his stint, and he's ahead of Andrew Picorio as they work in towards that chicane. And Atenides comes onto the lane right now. Don't forget, live timing and scoring is available. Visit racebot.tv/timing. Atenides then making that second pit stop. You've also got Simon Edwards joining him on the lane at the same time. There's Atenides going to make that pit stop, and let's see what happens with the pit stop timer for Fahim Atenides. It's going to tick over 12.6 seconds, and he's going to pull out and away then. Simon Edwards, his time just ticking over above 10 seconds, and for Edwards it will be a 15-second pit stop, and Edwards will come out and away again. Got a nice little battle developing up here between Trent Ram and Colin Van Ram. This is going on for 5th position on track, but there's also Edwin Valerino, who's just behind by a third of a second, to go on board with Taran in the number 21 Benelux car. You've got Edwin Valerino just ahead as it's going to get close, and there we are. It's going to be 2 wide at least in towards the chicane. Not quite going to make it 3 wide there. The number 11 car, well, technically, actually, no, they were going 3 wide in towards the braking zone. Edwin Valerino going to thread the needle and moves himself up into the 6th position. But all of these drivers have yet to make their final pit stop of the day. Working lap number 22 of 30 here. Let's give you a quick bit on Racebot TV Fan Immersion. Edwin Valerino then coming on towards pit road, actually almost hitting the huge concrete barrier as he came on towards pit road itself. He's going to make his final pit stop of the day. You got Conor Van Ram and Andrew Mercurio all on the lane right now. Andrew Mercurio just completing his pit stop. You can see it there. 12.5 seconds is the gap. The stop even as he comes back out onto track. As Carl Dronke is also just hitting it in for his final service of the day in the number 10 car. We're going to run through your top 10 as it stands in just one moment's time and show you who's been the winners and who's been the losers after that second round of pit stops. So here's Greg Zietz. Greg Zietz in the number 74 car, who has not yet made his second pit stop. Greg Zietz and Arjen de Freitas have not yet made their second round of pit stops. I say that actually, Arjen de Freitas is coming onto lane as we speak. So, critical pit stop right now for Arjen de Freitas in the number 86 car. And there's the timer ticking along for Arian De Freitas. Up to 10 seconds. 10.3 seconds out and away then for Arian De Freitas in the number 86 machine. Works himself on the exit of pit road right now. Merging back onto the track, and importantly, he's quite a way back from Philippe Burr. These two were nose to tail before the first round of pit stops, but actually, Philippe Burr has a 4-second advantage over Arian De Freitas after making that second round of pit stops. And Greg Zietz, well, we expect him on pit road maybe this time by. It could well be Philippe Burr heading towards the front of the field in just a few moments' time. Because I say that, it's a 32-second gap between P1 and P2. It's about 38 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. And here is Greg Zietz on towards pit road. So there is Greg Zietz making that pit stop. As we say, it's about 38 seconds he's going to take on pit road. Even though he's only got 5 laps of fuel to put in, it's a long pit road in itself. So Philippe Burr is going to take over the lead of this motor race in just 1 moment's time. There we are, we're on board with Philippe Burr right now. Crosses the start-finish line, heads towards turn number 1. Greg Zietz is out and away. Actually, I say that, somehow it's a 32.2 second pit stop for Greg Zietz. Zietz is still ahead of Philippe Burr. So our timing screen must have been showing a misnomer, because I expected Philippe Burr to be ahead by about 4 seconds on track. Actually, Greg Zietz has underfueled the car, only put 10 seconds of fuel in there, and he's at a 32.2 second pit stop. Phenomenal work there by Greg Zietz. He still does have the race lead here. Here we are then, a look at your top 8 after 25, or almost 25 laps of this race being scored complete. Greg Zietz leading by 5.4 seconds over Philippe Burr. Arian De Freitas in 3rd place. It's close as well between Arian De Freitas and Philippe Burr right now. The gap has come down to, well, actually nothing. We're actually going to have a look at it from up above, because Arian De Freitas is going to be ahead of Philippe Burr in towards the chicane there. De Freitas up into 2nd. Philippe Burr down into 3rd. Sasha Gall in 4th place. Paul Malocas in 5th. And then, in 6th place. It's Rahim Atinides in 5th. Malocas in 6th. And McCory in 7th. And Charan, who rounds out your top 8. As Arian De Freitas just goes purple that last time by. So Arian De Freitas does go purple that last time by. We're on board with Philippe Burr right now. And you can see Malocas is your biggest winner of the day, up 17 places since the drop of the green flag. For those of you just joining us, what actually happened was this Philippe Burr is going to get bolted big time there through the S's. We saw a huge calamity down at turn 3 on lap number 1, taking out 5 cars and creating a huge chain reaction. Burr versus De Freitas though, this is a battle that we're going to be focusing on for the remainder of this race, I think, because Greg Zietz is pulling out a substantial margin. If he's got the fuel to go to the end of this one, it'll be interesting to know. But this is a battle for 2nd place on track, and well, it looks like De Freitas has recently got Philippe Burr's number. So Philippe Burr then versus Arian De Freitas as they just work towards the start-finish line. again. And there is Greg Zeitz. We say the last pit stop for Greg Zeitz was 10.1 seconds. So he seemingly did a long stop early. That second pit stop is shorter, but we do think that actually he might well have the fuel to go to the end of that one. 10.1 seconds, it is a fast stop. De Freitas also did a 10.3 second stop, and it's 1 lap longer. So if anyone's going to be having issues, actually it probably wouldn't be Greg Zeitz as it stands right now. We are though down to 3.5 laps to go in this motor race. Andrew Picorio versus Fahim Atanides. They're working themselves right now on the exit of turn number 5 and heading themselves down towards turn 6 and 7. Once again, I will apologise. So I've been working by myself and doing all the cameras here, and didn't realise it was going to be a 2-stopper race like this until just recently. But Andrew Picorio putting that pressure right now on Fahim Atanides. Picorio then as close as they work themselves in towards the chicane. We could just see the tip of that number 4 car, Paul Malocas, as they work themselves down the hill towards the stripe once again. There's going to be a total of, well, the 2 laps to go the next time they come past the start-finish line for these drivers. So 3 laps to go for the time being. There is Andrew Picorio in the number 53 car as they work through turn number 1 into 2 once again. And actually, Stephen Stoyles, there's a little bit of a battle going on with him and Conor Van Ram. This is a battle going on for the last position inside of your top 10, working up them through turn 1 into 2. Stephen Stoyles in the number 77 car as he's got the number 101 of Conor Van Ram as they work down through the S's. Keeping an eye out, Labour, by the way, has gone back ahead of Arjen de Freitas as well. But this is likely to be one of those situations where it's just they're going to whip and swap the positions until the last lap, and then it's going to be a case of who's got the best defensive drive in towards the bus stop chicane. The gap between P1 and P2 is currently 7.1 seconds as we have a look from the rear of Philippe Labour into the bus stop chicane. And here we are, Greg Zeitz actually just taking a lot of curve as he runs through turn number 3. Number 74 car then, we've got ourselves a lap and 3/4, lap and 2/3 actually to go. There's your race leader. There's Andrew Picorio right behind Paul Malocas. Let's go on board with Andrew Picorio as they come down the hill themselves for the penultimate time. Malocas has been holding on here. He's had a great run here today, has Paul Malocas. As we say, he's actually now up 18 positions in this race. Andrew Picorio in the number 53 car running in 6th place, but they've only got a lap and a half now to sort it out between the two of them. Keeping an eye out on battles going on down towards the rear of your field. Stephen Stoyles is now ahead of Conor Van Ram, so that one's changed. Stephen Stoyles up into your top 10. Conor Van Ram is out of your top 10 as it stands. And interesting to note, even though we had big issues earlier on, 28 of the 31 drivers looking as though they're going to finish this race. We've currently got 23 drivers on the lead lap. The last of those is Martin Cruz as we turn our attention back over to Greg Zeitz because the white flag is out. There's one more lap to go here at Road Atlanta. In towards 1 then for the final time for Greg Zeitz behind De Freitas versus Labour. Gonna scrap it out here on that final lap. Who's got the biggest cojones as they're coming towards turn 3? De Freitas not close enough to do anything yet, but quite often you want to wait until you get on the exit of turn number 7. Through turn 5 they come. De Freitas, a third of a tenth of a second back as they now come towards turn number 7. It's almost certainly going to be Greg Seitz who wins here today, but the big battle is going to be for second place in your field. Arjen De Freitas is hounding right onto the rear of Philippe Leber as they now come down towards the chicane for the final time, and De Freitas alongside, and that is lap traffic that they're going around as well. So it is 2 battles for silver and bronze medals on the podium. Virtual, of course, medals. But De Freitas has the outside line. Contact made between the two of them as they come in towards the chicane. And look at that. Slide jobs all over the place. It's going to be Greg Seitz who's going to win this one. And it looks as though, yeah, indeed, Greg Seitz is your winner. Philippe Leber will come into shot now, and it looks as though he will just about keep that second place from Arjen De Freitas. Paul Malokas will come home in 4th position here today, and then actually it's going to be close at the line. It's showing Picario in 5th place, Paul Malokas in 4th. A blown engine by Andrew Picario, but I think that was after the stripe, so we just need to get confirmation on a couple of things there. We'll get the official race results in just a moment as the rest of the drivers will just drive it through, but it is Greg Seitz who claims victory. There are no real battles still going on track. We are going to go on board with Rob Adams for a moment in the number 27 car and towards the start-finish line. But as we say, it is Greg Seitz who's claimed victory here. Let's have a look then through your final race results here on Sunday night, Skippies, the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. And it is Greg Seitz who claims victory then by 8.7 seconds over Philippe Leber. 3rd place, Arjen De Freitas, and the gap between the two of them up the line, less than a tenth of a second. I was right. Paul Malokas claims 4th place in the end there. A great result by him. Up 19 spots here today. Andrew Picario is up into 5th place. Fahim Martinez in 6th. Sasha Goyle in 7th. Tran 8th. Simon Edwards 9th. And Colin Van Ram rounds out your top 10. Edwin Valerino in the 11th position with Steven Stolz in 12th, Neil Kemp 13th, Roman Karcher in 14th, and Carl Dronke rounds out your top 15. And there's the remainder of your top 20 coming up on your screen right now as the remainder of the results are going to cycle through as well. Well, it's a good race. We're going to take a quick break here, ladies and gentlemen, on RaceSpot TV. Post-race interviews will be coming up after this. The 2K World Cup, presented by DES Simulation.
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing.
Lee to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save.
Looks to the outside, and Dronke goes off. De Jong into 2nd place.
Going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I trying this contact though.
Slide left of the racetrack. Chris Renner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that 2nd spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe.
Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolica. That's not going to work, but he's going to try and get the cut back here. Get the run out the parabolica. That's beautifully done there. Michael Schubert, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
Well, welcome back then to post-race coverage from the 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulation. Here's a look at your top 10 once again. Greg Seats then dominant victory in the end in this two-stop to the end race. 30 laps around Road Atlanta even. Philippe Leber in second place. Arian de Freitas in third. Malokas Pecorio rounding out your top 5. And we have got your top 2 drivers to talk to. Going to start off with your race winner, Greg Seeds. Well, it looked at points that it was almost easy out then. Big victory, 8.7 seconds over the rest of the field.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was easy.
Okay, talk us through it. It was showing Philippe Leber. We got the wrong graphic up there. Apologies, Philippe. You didn't win the race. This isn't Canada from 2 weeks ago. But, Greg, you did win the race. Talk us through your race from your perspective.
Yeah, well, I was happy to get pole. I actually thought you made a mistake on the backstretch during my one qualifying lap, so I was really surprised to end up on pole. And then I saw that going into turn 3, there was some kind of incident, and thought I had a chance to get away, and Sasha went with me. And then we just kind of had this back and forth battle with Philippe and Arjen. Just, essentially the pace seemed to stay the same. And then when we pitted, I was really surprised. I don't know what Sasha, why he underfueled, but, maybe he wanted to lead laps or something, but he was on way out in front of us, and I kind of knew he would have to be back. I just kept pushing hard. And then as usual, Philippe had another great pit stop, so he came out, I think, 3 seconds or so ahead of me, so I figured, my odds of winning were pretty low there. And then apparently Philippe had some issue with another driver, and then at that point, being in the lead, it was just a matter of not screwing up.
Well, it's of course a triumphant return to the 2K World Cup from your perspective. A slightly longer race and the 2 pit stops. Did that impact on your approach to this event at all?
No, not really. I did a lot of practice for my pit entries, but like I said, as Philippe, I don't know how Philippe is so amazingly fast at pits, but, I seem to be kind of fall into the average bucket, and I still, can't seem to improve that much, but I think I just kind of got a little bit gifted with the issue that Philippe had. But no, my strategy was I thought, I would end up with Sasha as my draft partner pretty much the whole time, but like I said, when he came out early, I knew I'd have to run just as fast as I could on my own.
Well, of course, next time out, Orion Park Raceway in a couple of weeks' time. Before you head there, thoughts and also shout-outs and sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
You guys, as usual, and TT Racing, of course, Philippe for putting on the series. And then since I'm going to make my wife watch this, I want to shout out to her, Linda.
Shout out to Linda. Thank you very much. Greg Seat then claiming a victory here today. Second place, Philippe Leber. Philippe, I'm still a little bit confused as to how the gap was 8.7 at the end, but you ended up with a great battle with Arian de Freitas at various points in this event. It's showing you as the winner again. I think that they do want you to win this race, but you didn't, unfortunately. Talk us through it from your perspective.
Yeah, well, everything was going according to plan after that first incident on lap 1 where I got through magically, a little bit luck there, but I was working together with Arjan to catch Greg, which seemed to be working. And then after the pit stops, I don't remember exactly when it was. I think after my second pit stop, I ran into a back marker. I thought he opened the door, and then all of a sudden he closed it, and I ran into him. I had to cut the chicane, and I lost 2 seconds of slowdown penalty, and then my my suspension was bent, so I was 1 second off the pace, and so it was all over. And then when Arjan caught me, I don't know why he wanted me to lead, but maybe he was short on fuel, but I got used to the suspension issue, so I got a little quicker, and in the last lap I thought, well, maybe I can trick him into a slow crawl to the finish, and it worked, and it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, he says that I squeezed him into Kurt Krum, I didn't even know that he was trying to unlap himself, so my apologies for that.
Well, next time out, we head ourselves to Oran Park, a track that traditionally you do pretty well at. What's your thoughts heading into that event in a couple of weeks' time?
Well, it's actually one of my worst tracks, so I'm not going to do well. I'll just try to finish in the top 5 and think about the championship.
Even though I say that, you still always finish in the top 5, top 10 at the best of times. But before that, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you in that TT racing car?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to our league sponsor who had to wait 4 months while the league was suspended. So I'm very grateful that they waited. And also, of course, all the drivers who were very patient during those 4 months. And a special shout out to Greg for his first normal 2K win, I think, because he had a win before. It was a reverse grid race, but this is different, so congratulations to him.
Well, thank you very much. Philippe Leber, second place. Let's go down your field. Ariane de Freitas, third place for you today in the Evolution Racing team. You gave a fight in the end to Philippe Leber. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was pretty tight. To be honest, I've been away for a while, and coming back to this new car, it was a lot of getting used to. But I guess that's the same for everyone as the tire model changed. But yeah, it was pretty close, and I mean, I'm happy to fight with Philippe any day. I know he's predictable, and in my opinion, he squeezed me a bit on the back straight, but it was all right. And for me, I guess I'm still used to the GTE cars that are a bit wider. I don't know, but it was all fine, and nice race, nice comeback to the 2K, I guess.
And you say you gave him the pressure at the end, but that two pit stop that you had to do here today, did that affect your approach to the event or the way that you did the final stop? Because it looks like you took less fuel at the end along with a couple of other drivers, only did 6 laps to the end of that final stint.
Yeah, I figured I'd go as long as I can in each stint. I could have maybe gone a lap longer as Greg did, but I wasn't totally sure I was going to make it. So better safe than sorry. I pitted a bit kind of early, or not early, but 1 lap earlier than Greg. And I was like a bit short on fuel, I think. My tool said like I had to add another 0.2 of a liter. So I wasn't sure, so I was like, I'm not gonna catch Craig anyway, so just hang back in Philippe and try and get him on the back straight.
Well, next time out, Oran Park. Thoughts heading to that race as well as shouts out sponsors who gets it done for you.
Yeah, Oran Park is awesome. It's been always one of my favorites. To be honest, the whole season, this season is gonna be awesome. So yeah, looking forward to it. Shout outs to Linda, Greg's wife, congratulations. And obviously our team, Evolution Racing team, awesome to be back in the fight.
Well, thank you very much. That is third place driver, Ariane de Freitas. Let's go down 1 position to 4th, Paul Malokas. Your race, you ended up a little bit further back from the podium, but you were involved in a lot of craziness here today. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I made a stupid unforced error on qualifying, so I started in the mid-20s somewhere and had to go through the unexpected chicane in the first sector at the start and take a giant slowdown. So I think I came out about where I started, but it was exciting at the beginning, and then after that it was working the way up through the pack, and yeah, there was quite a bit of craziness. So.
Talk us through the turn 1 incident from your perspective in particular, because I can remember seeing you up at one point as high as 19 places. How hard was it negotiating all of that drama on corner number 3 of the first lap?
Yeah, it was basically as I came up to it, I was expecting the concertina effect, and then I could see all the smoke, and I went, oh no. And I got there and it was just completely blocked, so I just went left through the alternate route and just resigned myself to taking a slowdown. So I had to crawl through there to reset it and stay out of the way. so I didn't get black flagged on it. So it was definitely interesting. And then there were a couple other incidents going into the in the final sector. There was another one that was right in front of me on the first lap where a couple guys got together. So it was an adventure for about 3 laps, and then it was picking people off one at a time as I made my way up.
Well, next time out, Oran Park, we talk about this track being complicated. Oran Park, such a tight track as well. What's your thoughts heading into that one in a couple of weeks' time?
I'm going to be on holiday in France, so I'll see you guys at the next one.
So not seeing you at all. Before we let you go then, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you?
Yeah, just congrats to Greg and woohoo Linda. Go Portland crew. Greg's my neighbor from down the road, so yeah,
she really is going to have to watch this.
Yeah, if you look at the screen in about 15 seconds, you are going to have to look at the screen.
Awesome. So other than that, the ERT team, Logitech, and it's great to have Arjen back and get back in the car after so long. So thanks, Philippe, for pausing it with the wonky model and bringing it back to an exciting race today. Thanks.
Well, thanks very much there. Paul Malokas from the Evolution Racing Team Car. Hashtag thank you, Linda. Thank you to everyone who's been a part of our broadcast here today. Of course, most importantly, to the presenting sponsor of the 2K World Cup, DES Simulation. That is all we've got time for tonight from Brazelton, USA. It was a bit of a wild one, but Greg Zeitz is able to claim victory over Philippe Leber and Arjen de Freitas. We'll see you 2 weeks' time down under in Australasia. But in the meanwhile, good night from the 2K World Cup and good night from Road Atlanta.